If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice.
Much later.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the White House cocaine investigation that has now come to a conclusion that everybody with an ounce of political knowledge, okay, that understands how corrupt the current administration is, a conclusion that we all came to. We all know that this is going to be the conclusion, okay, that they found absolutely nothing, right? They found absolutely nothing because, again, this is the Bidens, right? This is Hunter Biden, who apparently is Teflon, okay? I mean, you can't touch the guy, okay? It doesn't matter what he does, whether that be, evading or avoiding paying millions of dollars in taxes, doing sketchy business dealings overseas, okay? Selling his father's influence to, foreign entities in Ukraine and China, right? Having text message evidence that's what he was doing, allegedly doing cocaine in the White House. He just gets away with it, okay? I mean, again, I don't even know what to say anymore, okay? I'm speechless, right? And apparently, this comes after the FBI got involved, right? Which is corrupt at that point, right? The FBI is involved in this. It's corrupt, okay? They did DNA testing, okay? Apparently, they had 500 or so individuals that, they thought the bag may or may not belong to, and they found nothing. Again, this comes after this story first came out. They said that it was in the library or the West Wing or something, and then they changed it and said that it was in some other place. Again, we all knew from the beginning that this was a cover-up, and I want to go ahead and play a video of Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of giving an update on this investigation and the fact that they have come to a conclusion that they don't have a conclusion in regards to who this coke belong to. Take a look.
The real concern here is American citizens every single day go through drug tests as part of their employment for their jobs. This is a common practice. Just speaking with the Secret Service now, my question to them was they were able to narrow down a list of approximately 500 people that had left a small bag of cocaine in a cubby. Now, these are cubbies that are controlled by the administration, not by the Secret Service, when they enter into the foyer off the West Executive entrance. This cocaine was found there, so they were able to bring the list, narrow it down to approximately 500 people. My question to them was, have they drug tested this list of 500 potential suspects that brought an illegal substance, a drug, cocaine, into the White House? Their answer was no, and that they're unwilling to do so. It makes no sense to me whatsoever why they would not follow through on one simple task, and that is to drug test a list of 500 people that they have that are potential suspects for this, when the American people every single day go through drug tests in order to do a job, by the way, that brings them a paycheck where they have to pay their taxes. And guess what? Their tax dollars go to pay for all of our salaries, and they pay for the Secret Service. This is a failure of this investigation to not perform a drug test on these people. This list of approximately 500 potential suspects. There are other concerns there as well. How there's a cubby box that has a key, how they found that it left open and the drugs were in there. There's also a failure with the amount of cameras they have, and I just don't find the excuses on how we can't find out who had cocaine in the White House.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand. Apparently, there's no surveillance footage. There's no DNA evidence. There's nothing, right? There's literally nothing. There's no leads or physical evidence, according to the Secret Service, with the help of the FBI, right? Because the FBI did DNA testing, that could possibly give them a clue in regards to who this bag of cocaine belonged to. Now, they have a list of 500 people. That's classified information, right? So the American people can't even see who the suspects are. I wonder, was Hunter Biden on that list, right? The world will never know, okay? So that being said, let's actually watch Fox News' coverage of this because, again, they're going to go in more detail here about what happened, and I'm going to comment on it.
Breaking news now, just moments ago, making it official, the Secret Service has confirmed that its investigation into who took cocaine into the White House is closed. The agency says it has no answers for the American people at this point. They did bring out a biolab review or report. They said they did some work on the substance to confirm what it was, some fingerprint DNA analysis, so on and so forth. Let's go deeper into the details. Mark Meredith is at the White House for us now. Mark.
Harris, good morning to you. As you mentioned moments ago, the Secret Service confirming that it has wrapped up its investigation into who brought cocaine to the White House at least 11 days ago when it was first discovered on a Sunday evening. Yesterday, the FBI wrapped up its forensic testing of the packaging, trying to get a sense of whether there was any DNA or fingerprint evidence that left behind. Secret Service saying today that they were unable to find anything with that.
Wow. I mean, guys, can you believe it, right? They were unable to find any DNA evidence, okay, on the coke, okay? I mean, so did the coke just, walk itself into the White House, right? Again, I mean, they really expect us as the American people to believe this nonsense, right? Again, it's just, the corruption is just so in your face. I don't understand how anybody at this point cannot see just how corrupt this administration is, okay? They've investigated themselves and they found nothing. And the sad part about this is that if the Trump administration was this not transparent, right, when it comes to this situation right here, the mainstream liberal media would not allow it, right? They would not allow the investigation to come to no conclusion. They would not accept this. They would be questioning, okay, so how in the world did coke get in the White House and there's no DNA evidence, right, in regards to who may have had it, right? I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, it's frustrating because I'm honestly, I'm sick and tired of Democrats, specifically the Bidens, getting away with anything, right? Everything that they do, right? We have criminals in the White House and they're getting away with it. I mean, they're at the point now where they're so emboldened that they think they can do drugs in the White House. Now, again, the fact that, again, they've come to no conclusion basically tells us everything we need to know about who the coke belonged to, okay? We all know who it belonged to.
Been a lot of questions, though, about the security processes going into the White House, because, of course, this is a building that not only houses the president, but also his staff, the national security team. There's been a lot of questions about whether or not we'd see any sort of changes in the wake of this. The Secret Service says that they have been making that part of their review as well, but nothing that they could confirm about who may have brought those drugs into the West Wing to begin with, that this was an area that was trafficked by potentially hundreds of people up to not only July 2nd, but the days leading up to it. It was found on a Sunday night, so they're saying it could have been there even longer than that, maybe even a few days before. The White House has sent most of the questions about all of this over to the Secret Service. The Secret Service today briefed lawmakers with the House Oversight Committee. These lawmakers, though, they are not happy with what they heard from the service because they say they still have more questions than answers. Take a listen to what these lawmakers had to say just moments ago.
Before we get into this, I just say this. Yeah, I mean, this is a security concern because if somebody can smuggle drugs into the White House, what else can they smuggle into the White House, right? What else can they smuggle into the White House? Again, the White House is supposed to be probably one of the most protected places on planet Earth, right? I mean, not just anybody can just go into the White House without being thoroughly checked by security, okay? They have cameras everywhere, but apparently they want us to believe no security footage, no DNA evidence, right? In one of the most secure places on the planet, right? They don't know. If that is true, if they're not covering this up, which we know this is a cover up, then I think somebody should be fired, right? Somebody should be fired. Head should roll, okay? Because again, if somebody can smuggle drugs into the White House, what else can they smuggle into the White House? The only explanation that I could have in regards to somebody being able to bring drugs to the White House like that is somebody that they're normally not really going to check because, I don't know, they're the president's son, right? Maybe they're in the administration like a Kamala. I mean, who knows? I mean, if you listen to Kamala talk lately, I mean, I got speculation about whether or not she's on drugs. Have you heard her explain culture?
Well, I think culture is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment. And we should always find times to express how we feel about the moment that is a reflection of joy, because it comes in the morning. We have to find ways to also express the way we feel about the moment in terms of just having language and a connection to how people are experiencing life. And I think about it in that way too.
Yeah, I would like answers, because it just seems like anytime we have any questions about any unsavory activity around the Bidens, no one can provide an answer conclusively or not. Someone always ends up lying.
Facts. I mean, anytime there's any questions about the Biden and their criminal behavior, their overt corruption, again, we don't have any answers, right? Nobody can tell us anything. And it's extremely frustrating, okay? I mean, I'm literally losing my mind, okay? Because they just seem to be above the law, right? They're above the law.
That's Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace of South Carolina is saying there are still going to be questions. We also heard from a senator out of North Carolina who said he too would like to get to the bottom of this, but at least in terms of what the Secret Service is saying, they say that their investigation has concluded that they were unable to find out who the person was that brought those drugs into the West Wing. Also notable, not seeing any major changes yet to White House security. I would imagine that's the next step in the discussion. Will there be other talk about this going forward? The White House has also gone to great lengths to declare and show the evidence that the president and his family were not here that weekend that the drugs were discovered on a Sunday night. Harris, Republicans saying they're not going to let up, even though the Secret Service is saying their investigation is
You know
over.
what? Some of that evidence that they purported to show from the White House's perspective that they were not there turned out not to be true. I mean, the White House press secretary said the family was not there on many of those days, particularly on an important Friday. And in fact, you and the press corps know that the president's family and he were inside the White House until 6:30 p.m. on that Friday. So, I mean, I have so many more questions. There are cameras everywhere.
Well, it's
How are
interesting.
there no cameras there? Now, they were
What-
supposed to check to see what the cameras that might have been nearby showed. What came of that?
Well, the cameras were not necessarily over these phone cubbies, which is an area kind of off of. I know that if you don't have a map, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little
I've been in there.
driveway entrance here. Yes, I know you have. Sorry, but for our viewers, the West Wing entrance on the side, there's not necessarily cameras over the phone cubbies where they would see where those belongings were put in. In fact, there was some law.
So it's somebody that knew, right? Again, it's somebody that knew about, okay, well, this is the blind spots, right, in the White House, okay, which, again, would be somebody, in my opinion, that's in the administration, that's maybe a part of the Secret Service team. It's somebody that knew, maybe some, junkie, right, who really, really, really wanted to do it in the White House. And, again, they went out of their way to, find out, again, where the blind spots at. Right. So, again, this is somebody that, again, knows the administration, knows the White House extremely well, knows security, right, and really wants to get high, right, get lit in the White House. OK, I mean, because that's what it sounds like to me at this point.
Lawmakers in that hearing that said they were surprised that there was not assignment of lockers. Okay, Mark, I'm checking in my phone. Here's locker number 212. Instead, it was kind of more of a free-for-all. You put your stuff in, and then it was just anybody's guess of who those materials were going to be. Wow. But I think it was interesting, Harris, that they said that they couldn't necessarily determine that it was there on July 2nd. They didn't know for sure. So, yes, this is a mystery that's going to continue even if the investigation is wrapped up.
Yeah, what if it had been something else? I mean, people
well, and that was the original point why they evacuated. You're right. There was fears it could be something much more hazardous, and that's why I think these lawmakers say they're going to keep digging because they think there's a vulnerability here.
Yeah, well, they're right about that. Mark Meredith, always great reporting. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it is a vulnerability, right? But again, if this was the Trump administration, the mainstream liberal media would not accept this conclusion, right? They would continue to speculate in regards to who it belonged to, and they will be demanding answers. Now, in my opinion, the mainstream liberal media is going to let it go. They're going to say, well, they didn't find anything, right? So I guess we need to stop asking about it, right? They didn't find anything, and they're going to let it go. But again, if this is a Trump administration, do you think that this will be something that they're just going to let go, right? That they're just going to accept this idea that there's no footage, no DNA evidence, no nothing? Heck no, right? And, you know, hey, like I said, man, I mean, this is par for the course when it comes to this administration. The least transparent administration in history. The White House has been disgraced on multiple occasions by this administration. This is the opposite of what Biden promised, right? I think he said he was going to restore decency to the White House. Nah. The White House has, again been disgraced on multiple occasions since the man has been in there. There is no decency or respect for, again, this once great American monument anymore. And it's really unfortunate. It really is sad, the decline that we're seeing in this country, you know, since the Bidens took over. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.